All right, let's just jump right in. We are about to uncover what is basically a hidden chapter in the history of philosophy. It's a story that comes from a lost manuscript, and honestly, it could change everything we think we know about one of the greatest minds ever.
You know this name, right? René Descartes, the father of modern philosophy. This is the man who built an entire system of knowledge on one unshakable foundation of absolute certainty. He found the rock, the one solid point upon which reason itself could stand.
But what if that rock just crumbled? What if the man who gave us certainty spent his final days completely consumed by the most profound doubt you can imagine? Well, this is the story of that collapse. Our story really kicks off with an unsent letter. It's written to his confidant, Princess Elisabeth, just months before he died. And in it, Descartes confesses this secret terror. He started to doubt the very foundation of his life's work. So this is it, the beginning of a secret crisis. We're going to follow the trail he left behind in a series of private, unpublished meditations, a final, brutally honest journey into the great unknown.
Picture this. He's alone in the freezing Stockholm darkness, and he decides to apply his famous method of doubt to himself. He looks inward for the I behind his thoughts, the thinker doing the thinking, and he finds nothing. Just a cascade of thoughts with, no one home. And that terror is what launches these final, secret meditations. His first secret meditation kicks off with a question that sounds simple, but it unravels everything. The question is, how do I know I'm the same person who went to sleep last night?
Okay, so on one side, you've got common sense. It says, of course I'm the same person. I've got the same body, the same memories. But Descartes' radical doubt just slices right through that. He points out that, well, our bodies are in constant flux. The actual matter's always changing. And even more disturbing, what if our memories are a complete illusion? Just like the super convincing memories we have inside a dream.
This pushes him to a pretty radical new idea. Maybe this self isn't a thing at all. Not a soul, not an object. Maybe the self is an activity, a process. And he comes up with this really powerful analogy of a whirlpool. Think about it. The water is always changing, right? But the pattern, the whirlpool itself, persists. So maybe I am not the water, but the pattern it makes.
So, from doubting his own continuous self, Descartes' doubt just expands outward. In his third secret meditation, he confronts one of the most terrifying ideas in all of philosophy, solipsism. The idea that you are the only mind that truly exists.
Let me just ask you this directly. How do you know that I'm real? You can see me, you can hear my voice, but all you can ever really observe is my behavior. How can you be absolutely certain there's an inner conscious experience happening over here and that I'm not just some sophisticated machine, a philosophical zombie?
Descartes breaks down the logic we use, and it's surprisingly fragile. We basically reason by analogy. We know our own actions are tied to our thoughts and feelings. We see other people acting in similar ways, so we infer they must have thoughts and feelings too. But that final step, it's just an inference, an assumption. It's a leap of faith, not a logical certainty.
And then he delivers the most devastating blow to our certainty. In our dreams, right? We interact with people who seem completely real, autonomous, conscious. We have whole conversations with them. But when we wake up, we realize every single one of them was a creation of our own mind. So Descartes asks, if my mind can create such a perfect delusion at night, what proof do I have that it isn't doing the exact same thing right now?
This is where the deconstruction really hits its peak. In his final meditations, Descartes turns his weapon of doubt on the weapon itself. He starts to question the one tool he has trusted his entire life, reason. He starts to realize that reason itself has limits. It can create paradoxes it can't solve, like the statement, "This statement is false." It gets totally stumped by reality, like with Zeno's paradoxes, where we obviously walk across rooms that reason says are impossible to cross. And maybe most fundamentally, you can't prove reason's own rules without using those very same rules, which is just circular logic. So reason is a great tool for understanding how things work, but maybe it's the wrong tool for understanding what things are.
And this realization leads him to this really profound shift in his whole perspective, which is captured perfectly in this quote from his later meditations. He's moving from a quest for these unshakable answers to a whole new appreciation for just living inside the mystery. And so we come to the end of this secret journey, and it doesn't end with some grand new system or a final answer. It ends with something much more poignant and much more human, an unfinished thought.
The real tragedy here is that while he was wrestling with these world-shattering ideas, he was also living through this brutal reality. He was tutoring a queen at 5 a.m. in a frozen palace, and the cold gets to him. He dies of pneumonia, leaving his most honest work incomplete. This is the last thing he ever wrote in his secret journal. The final sentence, just left hanging in the air. To be human is to... and then, silence. What was he going to say? Well, the papers, including that unsent letter and the unfinished meditations, were sent to the one person he knew would understand them, Princess Elisabeth. And she didn't see his doubt as a failure. Not at all. She saw it as the ultimate act of philosophical courage. And in her own response, she actually dared to complete his thought. To be human, she wrote, is to dwell in the space between certainty and chaos, to create meaning in the absence of guarantees. She doesn't offer an answer from pure reason. She offers wisdom from lived experience.
The whole point of this lost manuscript seems to be that the goal isn't to solve the puzzle of existence. The real wisdom, it might just be in learning how to live inside the mystery, how to navigate all this uncertainty with courage and with grace.
Which, of course, brings us to the final question, the one Descartes leaves us to answer. If he was right, if that solid ground of certainty we're all looking for is just an illusion, then what do we stand on? How do we choose to build a life, to make decisions, to find any meaning at all? That is the question his secret meditations force us to ask ourselves.